So in burning these, they build a large fire, placing the pots around the fire. They preheat them till they turn a bluish color and then roll them directly into the fire. To get these different colors in the pots, well, this will depend on the wood in which they burn. Lighter colors come from hardwoods that let off more heat and less smoke than darker colors from the softwood. Arthur Hicks makes these blowguns from river cane and knocked bamboo. It's gathered and then stored to dry like you see back here for a couple of weeks, and when the cane dries in its natural form it's crooked. So to straighten it, he would heat it over the open flame and then straighten it by using his hands and knees. So once he has the cane straight, he will then cut this to any length that he desires from around 3 to 10 feet long. Now if you'll notice the joints in the river cane, well, each one of these little joints are solid. So today, he used these metal tools to knock out those inner joints. Before the metal, they were found using a long shaft with a piece of flint tied to the end, which serves the same purpose all these metal tools do today. Arthur also makes the darts that are made of 2 different materials. The shaft, made of yellow locust, which is a hard but flexible wood. Then the tail for this dart. Now this comes from the down of the Scottish thistle, gathered in the early fall and then stored in the manner you see here in their little pots till these are ready for use. Blowguns were never used in warfare. They're only used in hunting smaller game like rabbits and squirrels, and that small game is used for food. So to get the range of the blowgun would depend on the length of the gun and the person shooting it. Here in the village, the accurate shooting distance is around 40 feet. Now later on at the overhead section, now we'll have somebody to give you a demonstration. Any questions?
Do people use these utensils today to get game?
The utensils?
The tools?
The blowgun. No ma'am, we don't. Where's it at? Where'd you hide your basket at?
I finished it.
I want to see what it looks like. Is that a basket? It's almost as big as she is, ain't it? She'd be able to crawl in that basket when it's finished. I better quit being mean then. Using river cane, she does 2 weaves. Now first the single weave. This one she starts her weaving on the bottom. Weave up and get her desired height and then complete the basket. Now the second weave is the double weave, which she starts her weaving on the inside. Weave up and get her desired height, fold her splits over and weave back down. It's finished up on the bottom. Now the second material is the white oak, which Dinah's are working with. Well, this white oak, it's a flexible wood. She'll take young saplings and split these into small sections. Take a knife and then split it going along with the grains and then pull off the splints. Well, these splints are thick and they're also rough on both sides. So now she'll have to scrape both sides till they're smooth enough to work with. Before the introduction of metal, they were found using tools which are made of flint. Then their baskets is made from bark. The colors, that's like what you see in these baskets here today. Well, these come from the native dyes. Boiled in a large pot with basket material. Orange came from bloodroot. Yellow from the yellow root. Black from butternut bark. And brown from the walnut bark. Then for an average sized basket, it'll take these ladies around 4 days to complete. Then the handles are all made of flexible woods like hickory and the white oak. This is what we call a drop handle. When the drop handles are put on just before this basket is completed. Then the other type are the interlocking handles. Made on the interlocking system, so once woven into a basket, well, you couldn't pull this handle out unless you tear the basket completely apart. Now here's the completed river cane. On this end is the completed white oak. Here she comes out, Porky Spaniel. It depends on the individual. Now Mary, where she's so full of air, she could probably shoot that thing 100 feet.
You better be careful, she might.
No, in competition, we shoot as high as 60 feet, and at one time we did shoot 90 feet. But The blowgun is only accurate up to around 30 and 40 feet. You know, when you're actually hunting game, then you want to get as close to the game as possible. Closer the better. Now, Craig Otter makes arrowheads like what you see on the red cloth there from Flint, which comes in today from parts of Tennessee and Kentucky. And to make an arrowhead, now he would first take...
Shoot that bullseye over on that thing.
I think he deserves a hand for trying. These traps are on a small scale also. The first one here is known as the deadfall or the bear trap. And the reason for the stockade was to keep the animal from coming in from the back or the sides and then just taking the bait. Well, the top here would have been covered up with brush. The bait placed here in the center of the trap on that sharpened stick. So when the animal came in, he would have to go under this log. Then tugging at the bait, it'd release the trigger. Well, this caused the log to drop, either pinning it down or breaking its back. Second trap is the fish trap that was set in a shallow stream with the opening facing downstream. Would knock the figure 4 apart and the trap would fall. We'll move to the shelter. The outer husk. Outer husk was taken off, but you wash the corn out. Set it out and let the water drain off. Put the corn in the block and then beat it just like she's doing now. She has the meal beat, she would sift it through the basket. Grains that went through this was used for cornmeal. Grains left on the inside, used for hominy grits. But the building that we have above here is the type of home that our people were rice and red clay. On the inside, if you'll notice, the loft extends only halfway across the room. It's used for storage. And the woolen blankets, iron pots, and brass buckets represent trade items from the early white settlers. Now, the only means of light they had at that time came from the fireplace and the doorway. But now the fireplace also acted as a stove. So if you'd like, you can look on the inside, then next off will be the cabin below.
There might be somebody under the cover.
Right now, I'm just sitting in my renewal for it. And it went Sadie Locust is doing finger weaving today. She uses commercial yarn and does 2 weaves. First, the single weave that's just more of an over and under weave. She can only get checks and plaid designs and using single weave. But the double weave, like what she's working with now, is more like on the loom. Using this double weave, she can get many different designs. Sadie can work with around 10 up to as many as 200 strands of yarn in her hand at one time. Then, depending on the length and the width of the belt, determines how long it takes her to complete one. Average size belt like this will take her around 2 to 3 days. Now, the building that we have above here is they were using a mixture of animal hair, rice, and red clay. It has a thatched roof that's elevated in the center in order to let the smoke escape. That's because, if you'll notice, in the center of the room is the fireplace. So if you'd like, you can go. So they would pack the red clay along the top of the logs, building small fires in the center. Well, now these fires are burned down rather than out, so when the fires are burnt down, they would then use the stone axe to chip away the charcoal. Now, using the burning method, it took our people around 6 months to complete a single canoe. The original canoes are 3 and 4 feet wide, 30 and 40 feet long, would hold around 8 or 10 men in the standing or kneeling position. Now we'll move to the wood carving. Yeah. William Swimmer does his carvings from using different types of hard and soft-grained woods. Now, the ceremonial masks and these dough bowls are made of soft woods like the buckeye and the cucumber.
I'd like to welcome everyone to the village today. I hope you've enjoyed your tour so far. This area that you're in now is called Square Ground, or ceremonial ground. And right here is where all our ceremonial dances would have taken place. Every village always has their own area like this, as well as their own council house, and they were both built close to the center of the village as possible, with the square ground being on the west side of the council house. The size of it would depend on the size of the village, and the one we have here would have been in a small one with about maybe 15 families. Some of the older record states, villages could have had 300 or 400 families in it, so the size of that square ground would have covered roughly up to an acre of land, if not more. Now we get this name from this square man of sand that you pile up around it, and in case you're wondering where we get the sand, all of our older villages were located being offered, not participating. You were taken out until the remainder of the ceremony was over. During this time, you were given no food or water. No one was allowed to talk to you, nor could you talk to anyone else. You simply hung there in silence, and in our ceremonies lasted anywhere from 3 to 5 days. Now, if you didn't want to take part in that particular ceremony, you were always welcome to come and watch, and you come and sit in the shelters as you're doing now. If you notice, they've been separated into 7 sections. This is because our people lived under a 7-clan patriarchy system here. This was used primarily to give shade to the drum beaters who would beat the drum during one of our ceremonies. Now, all the dances that our people done had a meaning. We never danced for pleasure or for recreation. They were done in dedication to a supreme being for victory, success, or whatever type of dancing we were doing. All of our dances were done in a counterclockwise circular motion, and there would always be a man or a woman who would take charge and lead the dance, and they